teenage years. I think he was 18 when the book began, and I believe that it goes from his teenage years all the way to uh, pretty much his adulthood. He gets older over the course of the comic book, and it pretty much just starts off with him being in a war with his best friend. They survive the war, but Takezo wants to become more powerful. He wants to become the most powerful person under the sun. I think that's the phrase that they always using, like invincible under the sun, which that's what he wants to be because his father was apparently like the greatest samurai ever, and his father just like left him in the mountains, and he pretty much lived in the mountains when he was a child, and kind of made him like a rough and rugged beast man when he got older. And then over the comic, you kind of see him become like a rough samurai where he just pretty much beats the living shit out of everybody with like a wooden stick, and then he becomes like a real samurai when he starts fighting with a sword. And then over the comic book, in his quest to become the strongest, he goes from school to school to different disciplines to fight their best and try to beat them. And over the course of the comic book, he beats some incredible guys. He gets his ass whooped. As you can see in this picture, he has scars on his head. Yeah, he gets those over the course of the comic book, and those are just like his reminders that he's not the greatest and that he has to get better. But you really see that personal growth. And what I really like about this comic or this manga is that it's very deep. It has a lot of philosophy behind it, a lot of old, I guess, Japanese proverbs, and also they have like visual illustrations of these kind of like metaphors. But it's a metaphor that you can see. A metaphor is pretty much supposed to like paint a comparison to something, and they kind of give you metaphors in the sense of like mountains. Like I think one time he's walking through the mountains and he sees these three mountains, and he referenced himself as the smallest mountain. And he climbs up that mountain, and he's like, after he finally gets up, like his foot's all messed up and swollen, and he's exhausted, and he's like, that took, it took all of it out of him just to get up the smallest mountain. And he was like, that's where he is now as a samurai. And then the two other mountains were these two guys that beat his ass and pretty much gave him those scars. And he was like, that mountain must be that guy, and that mountain must be that guy, and that I'm not strong enough to attain that level. I'm not strong enough to get up there, but he will be in the future. So it's very deep, and it's a very cool comic book. The art is great. I believe this is a picture from him when he was a little bit older. You can still see the scar on his forehead, but this comic book is very deep. The drawing is very beautiful. Vagabond, the writer, he also wrote one of my other favorite mangas, which is Slam Dunk. I'm not gonna be talking about that right now, but in Slam Dunk, I always loved the art, and it was funny. And in this book, you can see the same style, just with samurais and in this old school feudal Japan era. And I just love this book so much, man, because I love samurais. I love manga and I love samurais, and he's cool because he's not your average, different discipline, by the book samurai guy. He's like all rough, and he just beats the shit out of everybody with anything that he can find, and he just goes out and fighting people. And then over time, you start seeing him get more discipline. He learns from this monk that saved his life and gave him his new name, and he kind of see him over time become a more disciplined samurai from just a little brash, rash kid, pretty much, to a man, and become a respected, well-respected samurai. And that's the cool like progression of the story, and that's why I like that so much. So these are the four books, the two comics and the two mangas that I want to talk about. And I believe this is the last picture. We could check it out real quick. Ooh, yep, last picture. So these are the things I want, the four books I want to talk about. Hopefully you guys will pick them up because I would highly recommend all of them. Uh, Most likely the Incredible Hercules and Locke and Key first because they're short. And Vagabond and Sunken Rock are pretty long. But if you want some good comic books to read, if you've just been wondering, or if you're not a manga guy, you just like American comic books, these would be the things that I would say will get you into manga pretty much, especially Vagabond, because it's just so great. So I would recommend all these books. Read them if you like to. They're great. Another thing I want to say real quick is that the stream will be happening later tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We will be talking about I'm just gonna name it Marvel Madness pretty much. The last stream was about DC and the New 52 universe, and this week it will be about the main events in Marvel, the three main events, which, well, at least to me, which would be the new Ultimate Spider-Man #1, Spider Island, and Fear Itself, which Fear Itself will be coming to a conclusion relatively soon. So I want to talk about it a little bit, how I think it's going to end, and where it is so far, and what I hope happens after Fear Itself, because I've really been looking into it. So you got these 4 recommendations. Hopefully some of you guys have read these books, and we can talk about them a little bit in the comments. If you haven't read these books, I would recommend reading them because they're all great. And also come out for the stream later. I'll be doing it. I'm trying to get everybody into the Skype call, or get everybody to call me on Skype so that we can get everything set up beforehand, and it can run a little bit smooth, a little bit smoother than it is last week. But this is it. This is gonna be a pretty long episode. I just needed to throw up some stuff onto my comic channel before I do some gameplay recording later. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is just me just reminiscing on some old comics that I really enjoyed. And hopefully you guys will enjoy in the future. So this is ComicConartist, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.